Hi, friends. Welcome to another game review. This time we are doing a game that I've definitely put more hours in than I should have. And that is Smite. So Smite's a MOBA, a multiplayer online battle arena. In case you don't know what MOBA is, it's a weird word. Um, I blame my friend. You've already heard him on the channel before, but I blame him. He told me there was a Stranger Things crossover going on, and I thought that was a funky thing for a game to have, and I was like, well, let's try it out. And my God, was that both a blessing and mistake at the same time. But pretty much, if you haven't heard of MOBA, you probably know what they are. The primary one you'll ever see is League of Legends. And then Dota 2 from back in the day. Dota 2 is what started them. Um, and people still play Dota 2 a ton, but League's the really popular one to think about when it comes to the MOBAs. But Smite's had its place in the MOBA scene for quite a while, since 2015 it came out. The publisher, by the way, was High Res, and the developer was Titan Forge. I just wanted to. I just looked at this information. I wanted to put it out there before I forgot it. But you can play. The premise of this one is you're playing as mythological gods, like in every pantheon. Uh, pretty close to every pantheon. I'm assuming there's a lot of them, like a lot of more smaller base pantheons that may not be acknowledged, which hopefully at some point they may acknowledge them or something. But um, for the most part, it's like going to be your primary things with a couple of uh notable gods from pantheons that aren't quite as primary in a sense. The reason I say this is because you got things like Cthulhu, which is from like Lovecraftian lore and everything. It's not quite an actual god in a sense, but is looked upon so heavily as a god that that's why they brought him in, I believe. But uh, pretty much how the game works is you have five different types of gods to play as. You got hunters, assassins, mages, warriors, and tanks or guardians in this one. They all have their kind of purpose. Now, granted, a lot of gods tend to skew into one area more than the other. So you'll have gods that are a guardian who sole purpose is to guardian. He's tank. He doesn't do much damage. His powers are not designed for damage. Um, and instead they'll kind of be there as a wall almost for the enemies to attack. But then you have a lot of guardians that kind of shifts per se. So you have guardians that do a lot of attacking damage. So they're kind of more, the reason why they're in the front is also to hurt, and that's how they kind of divert attention. Um, but every one of them feels fun to play with. I think the least you'll see people play with is warrior a lot. But the warriors are still pretty cool. I really like the warriors a lot. But um, in MOBAs, you'll see people main a ton, which means playing only a single character throughout their entire time. They just really like that character. They got really good at them. So that's what they do. They play only that character. And then a lot of people, such as we play everything that we can pretty much look at. We'll try to play different characters. They all have different powers, by the way, all different abilities and attacks kind of way. The same things in same classes will typically react the same and everything. So you'll see all your assassins hitting up all close. Not too many assassins. I don't think there might be one kind of ranged assassin, but otherwise most assassins are only melee. Mages typically are always ranged. Hunters, of course, are always ranged. Tanks are usually mostly melee. And then I believe warriors are also primarily melee as well. But uh oh my god, how to start that one? How to start that thing? Um but they're all different though. What it was. They function the same but act extremely differently between each god. There are even gods that don't even technic how do I say this, aren't supposed to do damage necessarily. They will still perform attacks that do damage. The only one I can think of right now off the top of my head is Ganesh. He's from Hindu pantheon, and he literally cannot kill people in this game. Unless you're like really hunting down one person and no one else attacks him. That's the only way you can get a kill with him. Otherwise, the kill will go to someone that's also attacking him, even if you did the last blow. He's fun. I like him a lot. Ganesh is cool. Um, but they have quite a few different types of uh game modes, I should say. Yeah, game modes. Your standard one's arena. That's you five against another team of five going at each other. You have what are called minions that'll go along a path trying to get to the other side. In arena, it's to get through a portal on the other side, and they count towards points to ending the game. Whoever gets that amount of points wins if they get there first. Um, Pretty much is you and you, a 5v5. The matchup can be however you want it to be in a way. Most people tend to see a team being one of each type of god, the mage, a hunter, assassin, and all that. But that doesn't mean you have to. You could be a team of all guardians, a team of all mages, stuff like that, or two mages, three guardians, or three mages, a warrior, and then an assassin. It could be any of those mixtures. It doesn't have to be, but you'll likely mostly see the one of each typically. There's a shop in game, by the way, that you will purchase items that will buff you over time. These are, I want to say, crucial. They almost cannot be ignored. If you're really good at the game, you'll do well over time. But these items are what really makes or breaks your build, so to speak, in the game. As if you build really high damage, you'll do really high damage. You may not last very long if you get hit, but you may take out the enemy before they can even take you out. So keep that in mind when building your character. You do have a training mode that allows you to test out these items on each character. If Hi-Rez ever sees this, if you ever see me Hi-Rez, or Titan Forge, I should say, because Hi-Rez probably is just the publisher act of it. You ever see this? Only one implication I want you to put into the game. It's only one. It's when you're in training mode, just let me be able to switch gods in training mode instead of having to leave and come back in. Also, let me just save my build in training mode onto my character. It'd make life so much easier. But that's all I could ask for this game, by the way. That's all I want. Out of the way there, though, there's a few other game types. You have Joust, which is a 3v3. The minions are still relevant for this one, as the idea is protecting your big old Titan that you're guarding at the beginning of your base. If they die, then you lose. And so, but it's meant to be a little bit faster kind of paced, and more close-knit team kind of way. Oh yeah, Conquest, that's a big one you'll see. That's the one you'll likely see in most of the like esports of Smite. Conquest is like a really long scale kind of fight. It's really dependent on kind of the long con of a game. You have three different lanes you must protect from the other team. Minions going down. You have different types of towers to take out. By the way, there are what are called towers that will attack you if you're the enemy. They'll typically focus on minions, but if you do attack a god while in their radius of effect, they will go after you instead. So keep that in mind when attacking them. But once you get past all their towers and defenses, you get past like a phoenix, which is like a kind of defensive buff tower that if you take it down, your minions will be buffed down that lane. And then once you get to their Titan in Conquest and beat it, that's how you win the game. There's also a few others they bring about occasionally. They have what's it called? Slash, which is it's like a mini Conquest in a way. There's two lanes instead of three. A little bit faster than Conquest, but a little bit longer than things like Arena or Joust. They did bring in a new one recently, so this will really timestamp this kind of video. But they brought in Odin's. Oh god, let me try to find it real quick before I forget about it. And then Odin, he's down here. Odin's Onslaught. That's what it is. It's a way different version of the game. I think it's mostly a timed event right now. But it pretty much 5 teams of 2, I believe, have to go about taking out jungle monsters and big monsters, and the whole thing's collecting gold. And then if you collect 35,000 gold, I think is the number, you win. So that's a different way of playing it. I don't know how long that one lasts. Haven't quite gotten to playing it yet, but uh, there's those, and those are the main. Oh, there's one more called Assault. One lane, one really long lane. Minions are still, they're like a lot less important in this one. But the thing is, you get a random god you can't pick. You can try to re-roll, but it eventually will cost you like your little currencies and such. Um, you can re-roll and then or just play the god you've been given. It's fun. It's cool if you like the random. If you don't want to pick, it's a fun one to play. I didn't talk about it, but the reason why I said this one is also a really fun game, but is also a little bit cursed. It's the kind of game that's free to play, but it means it doesn't require you to pay money for things. But if you want to enjoy it, you might pay a little bit of money. My friends paid a lot of money in this game. Um, but the idea is they have two types of currencies. They have favor, which is just like your currency you earn throughout matches. There's not much you can do with favor, but it's something. And then the other is gems, which are the purchasable kind of currency. That's the one you're gonna probably be buying, and then you'll get things like skins. By the way, some games are like this. 90% of this game is skins, because if you play through any of the game modes enough, you're going to be like, well, I've experienced enough of the gameplay, so what you really come back for is skins. It's a kind of thing that's just um kind of inevitable if you're really into this game for a long period of time. I'm sure there's tons of people that love the gameplay and play for the gameplay, which I play also. I like the gameplay a lot, but I do really enjoy coming back and looking at skins and stuff. It's really cool. The skins are super creative, super interesting to look at. Um, they're one of the few things in gaming that I think are worth putting a little bit money towards. Don't go overboard, of course. If you really like the skins, I would recommend just outright buying the skins that you enjoy. There are loot chests, which I don't prefer. Um, it's kind of gambling, but you know what you're getting in it, so you can choose to put some money towards it. And I don't think it's terrible. And I think these chests are a lot better than other loot chests. Loot chests normally are really bad. I hate them a lot. These ones at least give you the choice of what to buy in these loot chests. And so if you like a lot of the skins in the loot chest, I think it's at least worth it. Because then at least you know what you're getting, at least in the fact of it. Um, but please, I advise anyone, don't go about spending like $3,000 on this game or something. It's a fun game, but there's tons of games to play. This one's just has that currency thing to it, so be careful, I should say, with it. Um, they do crossovers a lot. That is the big thing I want to talk about. They do a lot of crossovers throughout time. They've done some really interesting ones. I think I talked about one earlier, the Stranger Things one, which is pretty cool. You'll get skins for gods typically from these crossovers to play as, or you'll get little things in game, like you can put down a little statue thing that floats in game and is just your little guy. Um, they've done Transformers. They've done what's the big one? They're doing the big one right now, which is RuneScape, which is really cool. It's really fun to see these. These are really fun, I think. But that's most of the game that I have talked about. I think right there might be a few things. There's esports, like I said earlier. I don't follow them crazy. Their jerseys, by the way, I'll say this for you, High Res and Titan Forge. I did look at the jerseys for the teams, and they look rad. They look super cool. Um, that's all. I just saw the jerseys. I thought they were rad looking. Uh, Also, one last thing. I will be advocating for this in every single game. There's another thing I'll also advocate for, but we'll see in a game if I'll talk about it a little bit later. The main thing is if you have things like these 3D models, especially when your game is so heavily dependent on skins being the primary thing, like you're going back for skins because you played a lot of it, so you're like, I just want the new skins and everything. there should be a secondary thing to your business model here, I think, which is selling out 3D models, selling out like uh what's it called? Little figurines of the models. My original idea was that you could sell the file out so people could 3D print them. My friend is very wise in being like, well, you don't want to give them the 3D models because then people might start using the 3D models or something like that. Maybe make the 3D models have to have a base or something so that it looks really funky when you buy it. So maybe they can't use them in game or that easily or something like that for a different game or something. If not, I think just buy out quite a few developer or public designers and people that will help you produce a ton of these little 3D figurines, because there's some skins out there, dude, that I would pay some good money to have a little figurine of it because they look really rad. There's a crow skin for Hades right now that's like one of the coolest looking things I've ever seen in a video game, and I think if it had a model, it'd be amazing. But that's just me. I'm just that's an idea I've had, and I really like it. I just wanted to put it out there. But that'll be it for this one. As always, I like to ask you to like and comment if you have played the game. What god do you play a lot? Or do you play a bunch of them? You know, what type do you play a ton? Is there a skin of the god you play a lot that you like really enjoy? And is there any new skins that you've seen recently that I really want? I'll wait for it or something if I get the gems from other ways. But I really like it. Anything like that that you want to tell me. And as always as well, or also, I want to forget before I say, if you haven't played the game, have I brought any kind of interest towards it? Um, and or have I kind of, it's a game that is, it's very fun and I do recommend, but do be cautious with some of the monetary things. These games can kind of get at your wallet a little bit, but, you know, keep personal, restriction towards it. Oh, almost also forgot. Damn, I'm forgetting everything. A score for this is pretty much a 7 out of 10. I think it's really good. Um, but it does end up becoming more uh skin based than gameplay based for me at least. I have put 301 hours in this game. By the way, I won't put that into contrast. I put 300 hours into that game. So just keep that in mind. I do like skins more, but we do come back to it somewhat often. Somewhat often. You've already seen it on the channel, so and as well, I like to ask you to subscribe if you do. I think you're wonderful. If you don't, I still think you're wonderful, so it's completely up to you. And as always, I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.